Uh, Hi everyone. I hope you guys are here, and I hope I am audible. Just put it in comments if I am audible or not. Yep. Is everything working fine? So I see there are how many people have joined. I guess there are. Okay, so 34 people have joined. Please call your friends and everyone else that is interested in Hacktoberfest for this year. Uh, so as you can see, I'm already wearing a Hacktoberfest t-shirt that is 2 years old. Uh, so yeah, let's start. So hello everyone, welcome to Hacktoberfest by DSCTIT. This is a festival for developers, designers, content creators, everyone all around the world who are celebrating the festival of open source. This whole month will be dedicated to open source and how you can develop yourself, how you can help the world develop open source software. What is open source? How do you contribute? What is GitHub? What is Git? What is version control? How you can make your name in open source? How you can be identified by everyone in the developer community or designer or content creators. Uh, so we really appreciate that you guys have joined us here, and we hope that you will stay connected with us for the next 3 days. I'll just go over once about our event agenda and what all we have planned for you guys. I'll just share my screen. Uh, yeah, I hope you guys can see my screen. If anyone wants to make me zoom in or something, just tell me. So I hope you have seen this page. This is our page for Hacktoberfest. As you can see, we have been officially identified by MLH to organize this event. And Hacktoberfest is powered by DigitalOcean, Intel, and Dev.to. So I'll just let you know the sponsors once. DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is a cloud platform to host your applications, etc. Dev.to is the Bible or is the place where every developer goes to. As you can see, there are a lot of tools out, a lot of articles, important guides out here. And the last one is Intel, whom you guys would have known a lot, right? So yeah, let's go to our schedule once. So we have divided this into 3 days so that you guys have breaker sessions and you guys understand each day what is going on and you guys understand it properly. So for day one today, I'll be taking this session 4 to 4:30. That is what is Hacktoberfest and why do we celebrate open source? Why is open source such a big thing? Why is it being called a festival? What makes it so special? Right? From 4:30 to 6, uh, we'll go over some basic topics about version control, about open source, how it works, everything. So for 4:30 to first topic will be need of version control system that will be taken up by Shubhank Priya, and rest will follow. We'll let you know all the speakers once they are coming. Uh, Again, the speakers for this session are the core team of DSCTIT. DSC is Developer Student Club powered by Google Developers. Uh, and we are trying our best to make this a really smooth experience for you all and make this really special for you all. As I know, some of you might be we might be in first year and who are just starting out with coding, who are just starting out with developing, who are just starting out with uh, contributing to open source, and this might be the first time you heard about this. This was also Hacktoberfest was my introduction to GitHub and my introduction to Git. So I hope you make it worthwhile. From 6 to 7, we'll go over some tips and tricks in our favorite text editors, in our uh, VS Code, Sublime, Atom, etc. We'll make you understand how we write beautiful README files, how we like Markdown conventions. We'll have a quiz, very interesting quiz on Git, and then we'll conclude today's. Day two will be the first part, 6 to 6:30, will be on how you can get some really awesome benefits using GitHub Education Student Pack. Like you can get benefits more than 1 lakh rupees of benefits with GitHub Education Student Pack, and you will be told about this tomorrow. You will be told how do we use that GitHub Education Pack to our benefit, how do we use it to get your own website, to get your own cloud service, etc. 6:30 to 7:30 will be a doubt session where we'll take your doubts on how do we create a pull request, how do we contribute, what are the best uh, best guidelines to contribute, what are the best things that you should be following practices. Then we have a very interesting podcast with previous GSOCers that we had recorded earlier, and we will be releasing them that here. uh, there are two GSOCers with us in that podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy that a lot. Then we'll be concluding that dates. Day two will not be heavy at all. For day three, we have again planned a very special uh, timeline for you guys. One is from 4 to 5. We'll have how to be a part of open source. So once you start contributing, you need to get some recognition in the community. If you want to get some recognition in the community, how to get identified in open source organizations, how do you add them to your GitHub profile, etc. Everything. How to be a part of open source will cover everything, from the culture, from the contributions, from everything on that lines. Then we'll talk about mentorship programs like GSOC and Outreachy. These are one of the two of the most renowned open source competitions out there with which have amazing cash prizes as well. But that is not the aim of these programs. The aim of these programs is to make you a better coder, make you a better open source contributor, uh, right? And so we'll talk about this, and then we'll have a AMA, that is Ask Me Anything, with past GSOCers and past Outreachy alumni. At 5 to 6, we'll have on advanced GitHub topics, GitHub Actions, GitHub Pages, and third-party integrations. We'll cover these in a beginner-friendly way, so you don't need to be scared by the words. And from 6 to 6:30, we'll talk about a little bit about Linux and the operating system, which every open source admirer admires. And then we'll be concluding the event. So I hope you guys stay with us for the next 3 days and enjoy this journey. Uh, right. So, what is Hacktoberfest? Let's start with what is Hacktoberfest. And if you go to their website, you just type in Google Hacktoberfest and just go to their website. So, hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com is the page here. Uh, if you guys go to this website, you will understand what Hacktoberfest is about, what is going on, and I highly encourage you guys to watch this video. I'll not play this in the stream, uh, but I highly encourage you guys to watch this. So, Hacktoberfest is, as it is mentioned here, a celebration open to everyone in our global community. As I said, it's a festival of open source. So, what happens in Hacktoberfest is the rules are simple. You to qualify as a Hacktoberfest, complete to qualify for completion, you will have to register yourself, and you will have to make 4 valid pull requests between October 1st and October 31st. That is in the Hacktober month. The PRs can be made to any public repo on GitHub. You can make it for any issues. It need not be mentioned as Hacktoberfest labeled issues. Uh, if the most important part this year is you cannot make random pull requests. So what happened was, a lot of people, just to get the T-shirt, they used to make random pull requests, like change in one line in README or change in one line of code. That is not accepted this time. The why this Hacktoberfest was started is really important, and it is not because you guys can get a T-shirt. or a tree. So you guys can choose either a limited edition T-shirt, which will look like this, or you guys can choose to plant a tree, whatever suits you well. Right. So this was not made for people to just get T-shirts. Event was started because people do not contribute to open source a lot. They make projects. They keep it private to themselves. They do not share it with world. We have really a scarcity of people who are contributing to open source, and contributing to uh, organizations which are trying to help you, trying to make this world a better place, one pull request at a time, as they say. So I highly suggest that you guys take this as an initiative to get started with open source, to get started with contributions, to get started with your coding journey. I hope, and do not take this as just a reward basis program. So I hope you guys have this website open, and let's understand how we register in this. So first of all, to register, you need a GitHub account. GitHub is, and we'll explain this again to you guys, what is GitHub, what is Git. But if you have some basic understanding, GitHub is a website where you can store, where you can have your repositories, that is your projects on online, and you guys can collaborate with other developers and make open source projects. So I highly suggest you to sign up if you don't have an account, or sign in if you to your existing account. I'll sign into mine. So once you have signed into your GitHub, I'll suggest you guys to go to this Hacktoberfest page and click on Start Hacking. Also, guys, let me know if you guys have any doubt. Uh, I'll be taking that after 5 minutes once I have done, once I've explained this. So other admins, Jay and Jaskier, please make sure that you guys have noted down the doubts, and we'll take that up. Uh, so you will select your preferred email address. I'll suggest you guys to choose your Thapar email address if you are registered as a Thapar student or as an educational student, as we'll explain you the benefits of that tomorrow, or I guess it was today. No, tomorrow. Yeah. So I'll choose my email. You need to choose your role. I'll choose my role as participant. Then you can choose your country. My country is India. I hope you guys are around from around the world, and you guys can choose to do all that. And you can click on Start Hacking. Now, once you have clicked on Start Hacking, you are ready. Now you are ready to do everything. So you haven't made any pull requests yet. So I mean, that's all you need to do. I think that is a pretty easy step, and you're pretty easy. You will get a mail as well on your emails that you are registered for Hacktoberfest. Make sure you guys do this before making any pull requests that are counting towards Hacktoberfest to be eligible. Uh, we'll tell you how to go about making pull requests and all in the later sessions. But I request you all to do this at least today. Okay, so this was a basic understanding of Hacktoberfest. I hope you understand Hacktoberfest, and let's talk a bit about why to celebrate open source. So as I said, open source is something that you guys might not have realized till now or seen till now, but it is a huge part of our lives, especially the people in the developer community. Yeah. So the first and the biggest thing, biggest open source repository is Mozilla. So I hope you guys have used Firefox browser, or you guys have used Mozilla somewhere or the other in your life, and the whole code for this is online, is on GitHub. So if you go to GitHub and you type Mozilla, you can see there is a whole organization called Mozilla, and there are 260 people who are contributing to this. They have 2.2k, that is 2200 repositories. Repositories means 2200 projects uh, in their organization, and there's a bunch of stuff you can contribute to here. Uh, so you can see there we have a PDF reader in JavaScript. We have the Firefox. We have Tree Herder. All these are big repositories of Mozilla, and you guys can really contribute to it. If you guys go to the Hacktoberfest website, and I guess they also list down some of the Mm, They also list down really awesome repositories. I'll just show you. Now, if you go down, you can see here you have Hacktoberfest projects. So you can start your contributions by contributing in these projects. Uh, so if you can select any language you want, and JavaScript. Suppose I am good at JavaScript. So as you can see, this is the first project that comes up, that is URL shortener, and this has been taken up by DSCTIT, that is our uh, society. So if you can see, we have all these issues in the URL shortener repo. And we have tagged some issues with Hacktoberfest, which we will again explain to you guys what all this means. But I highly encourage you to check out our GitHub repository, that is github.com/developers student club Thapar. We have a lot of projects, and we would love you guys to come in and contribute to them. Uh, you have a lot of projects out here as well. You can check out a lot of them, and you guys can get started with Hacktoberfest. Uh, I think this much is enough for you guys to understand the importance of open source. And even if you don't, I highly suggest to take part in this. Explore the world, explore the culture of open source, and you will really start enjoying this. This. So if you see, if you just search biggest open source organizations, so you can see the one is Apache. I hope everyone has heard about Apache. Cloud native, digital freedom, Drupal, Eclipse. Eclipse is a really great IDE. GNOME Foundation, KDE, Linux. So the software, the operating system called Linux that you guys have heard, might have heard or used in college, that is Ubuntu or Fedora or anything like that. They are all open source. All the code is open source. You guys can go and look up how the whole operating system was made. So why do we need to celebrate open source? Is because we have made a lot of achievements in open source. We have literally made world class products which is running without a company built up on them. Rather, we have contributors from around the world who are trying to uh, improve the code, improve the documentation, improve the code, improve the features, looking up at your issues, everything that you have as an issue for, you know, suppose you're using Mozilla, you feel that this thing doesn't work well, right? So the amazing thing about that is that you can go to their organization, and you can really go there and you can raise an issue that I think this should be fixed, and there will be hundreds of people willing to fix that for you, right? And I think this in itself is a great achievement for us. And if you are a developer, having your own GitHub profile is a way to get recognized. So this is my profile. We all have our profiles, and if you can see that I'm a mild contributor in my repositories and all that, and this really stands out to people when you try and go for interviews, when you try and go for any other stuff. This is a really GitHub is something that is checked by everyone, and it shows how interested you are in contributing to the world, contributing to the projects that are going on in the world. A lot of private companies these days have started maintaining a separate open source repository of themselves to and use the power of developers that they have in their company that they are using uh, for their purposes, and outsource that to the world and help people understand all that. I think I've been going on for a long time now, and I think you might be tired of listening to me. So we'll start with our next guest. That will be Shubhang Saxena. Uh, so just before starting that, I'd like you to tell a bit of history about our DSC society or DSC community that we have built up in the past 1.5 years. So it was started, Developer Student Club Thapar was started by Shubhang Saxena. He was the founder, he was the original DSC lead of our society, and he really motivated all of us to, give back something to the community and give back to the people who are helping us. He's in fourth year right now, and he has been helping us since he was in the second year, I would say. Uh, we come together, we work together, we make projects together, and that is how a society or how a community works. uh, we have some core members in second and third year that will be taking up this program, but the society again is open to everyone. Just join our Discord server, and we will welcome you with open arms. You have any doubts, you have any things that you want to learn, you want any workshops from us, you want us to share our knowledge, or we want to get some good knowledge from you guys. So just get started and join our Discord. Go to dsctit.tech. We'll add that in the stream as well. Right. So without wasting any time, let's go to our founder, that is Shubhang Saxena, and you know, he will introduce you to the need of version control system in an open source development environment. Right. Thank you.
All right. So am I audible to you all, guys? Like, drop some messages in the chat, probably. So, guys, co-organizers, am I audible to everyone? Cool. So, first of all, a very kind thank you to Kush for introducing me so well. I think a bit of things were a little exaggerated, but yeah, I guess he clearly summarized the concept of the community and what DSCTIT stands for. So I think without further ado, let's start with the presentation that we are going to have. Okay. So just a minute. Yeah, so is my presentation visible, guys? So I'll just like just a minute. Yeah. So hello and welcome everyone to this session. So my name is Shubhang. I'm the founder and ex-lead for DSCTIT. And you guys can definitely find me via 19_Saxena on Twitter. So this particular session focuses on history of VCS and open source. So VCS stands for version control system. So before going further, let's just see a time where version control system wasn't present, right? So before the version control system, and why do we even need it? So this is what the world looked like before version control system. And trust me, when I say this is not an exaggeration of how the world literally looked like. So before version control system, again, I haven't told you what version control system is, but let's just focus on things that were happening before the version control system. So I think power surges are something which are very common around us. And even during the times, now let's imagine you are working on a very extensive project and you forgot to save your code and suddenly the lights went off. I mean, that would be the biggest bummer that a programmer can ever face in his or her life. So that was one of the biggest frustrations that programmers had before the version control system. Again, accidental power surge and failures resulting in loss of code as well as life. By life, I mean, like, if you're working on a code with a company and you lost all your code, your boss is going to fire and thus you're going to lose your life. So then again, no accountability of who wrote the code. I mean, there was no way to pick out the people who were actually writing that piece of code in that particular project. And you couldn't really trace back the changes, right? So best available option before the VCS was there. And I think this is one of the things that we people do keep doing, right? So especially the people who are designers over here, what they do is that they make up a copy, they open up a file in PSD, Photoshop, they save a file and they make it like copy one. Then that there is copy two, and then there is this final copy, right? So what this clearly shows you that there was a need of probably keeping a copies of whatever changes that we were making, right? So every time you want to make change, you want to keep a copy of it so that probably you can refer back to that old copy, or probably if your new copy turns out to be bad, you could like delete that one, and a mix and match and lots of permutations of files and everything. So thus came the blessings of thy programmers, and thus the VCS was born, said by Shubhang Saxena. So we came up with a thing known as version control system. Now, what is version control system? Version control systems are a category of software tools that help us record changes to files by keeping a track of modifications done to the code. Use a version control system, a repository. It can be thought of as a database of changes. It contains all the edits of historical versions or snapshots of the project. I mean, yeah, I literally copied that definition from Wikipedia, and trust me, I wasn't able to understand it. So let's just break it down very systematically. So here you are as a programmer, you're doing some work on a project. And let's say you create a new file and you make few changes in it. Then you try to save that changes. And then what VCS does for you is literally it takes up a snapshot of it, or in simpler words, it clicks a photograph of it and it stores it somewhere, right? So now, as soon as you have clicked a photograph, you can always keep making changes. You make the changes, you finalize the other changes, and you again click a photograph. So now what happens in this particular diagram, if you are able to like understand the gist of it, you are making a lot of changes. Those lot of changes are there present in your local storage. And as soon as you are making changes, you are able to take some snapshots of that particular code. Or in a simpler word, you can preserve the state of the code. As in, like if I take an example of a file and let's say I write a single line in it saying print hello world. So that will be my first instance of the code, and I'll be clicking a photograph out of it. Then I'll be writing another line saying print hello world 2. And then I'll again click a photograph of it. The benefits, I could probably take up the back photograph, delete the new photograph. And if I find my new photograph good, I'll be deleting my back photograph, and so on and so forth. So this is what version control system is in a nutshell. But there was a problem, right? In this particular system, you could see that only a particular user was able to work on a particular project, and he or she was just able to make changes on their own local systems. Then how did this spirit of community arise? The programmers felt that there was a need of maybe modifying this version to, and maybe to tweak it just a little bit so that other programmers can also contribute in the same project. And thus came the centralized VCS. So what happens in centralized VCS is that there is this user 1, 2, and 3 who all are independently working on their projects, right? And as soon as project 1, user 1 completes something, he or she can save the changes and push it on the central database. So comes the user 2, and so comes the user 3. Now here's the catch. Sometimes user 1 probably pushes up a snapshot in the code in this particular database, which probably user 2 and user 3 feel like that, yeah, I think we can pick up this snapshot, take it, and then develop over it. So let's say if you guys are building up a project and there are 3 friends who are working on a project, And let's say you divide the responsibilities of, hey, user one or friend one, you'll be creating a Python file. Friend two, you'll be creating a C++ file. And friend three, you'll be creating a Java file. So what user one does is he or she creates that Python file, creates a snapshot, and pushes on the database. Now that database has that file, what user two does it takes down that file, it adds on to it, then again push it back, and then the user three does the same, and the sequence goes on. So this was one of the biggest benefits, which sort of involved more and more developers coming over here. But this particular system also has its own failure. Now imagine if this particular database or system has a sudden power surge, or maybe has a hurricane or tsunami, or maybe has a zombie attack. So these particular three users, let's say, are working on a project which involves a company, and they have been working endlessly for the past, let's say, 4 to 5 years, right? And all of a sudden there is a zombie attack, and this database is eaten up by zombies. So you see, this particular system is kind of flawed, because again, we have this one entity to rely on, and which again pisses off a lot of programmers. So then came the distributed version control system. That is the current one and the most prominent one that we as modern developers are using. So what it does is it says that, hey, user one, you have your own database, user two has your own database, and user three has your own database. Now, whatever changes or whatever snapshots any particular user clicks will be synced across all the three databases. Now, let's say the user one is probably living in US, and US has an alien invasion, and the user one loses his or her database. So it won't affect the overall version control system, or probably user one will die. But yeah, apart from that, this particular system can still go on and on working, because then user two and user three will have the as it is and intact copies of the same code or the same snapshots. So these are the three types, and probably you could call it an evolution of VCS. And finally, here we are at the distributed version control system. So now coming to the most common VCS that we use. So these are some of the ones that probably most of you must have not heard, but I just wanted to give you a gist that we have Subversion with us, we have Git with us, we have Mercurial with us, we have CVS with one, and then we have TFS with one. And I honestly don't know what this yellow sign means, but yeah, I just found it somewhere. So I think the most common one out of them are probably Subversion, Git, and Mercurial. And the most popular one out of it is Git. And that's what we all use. So before going to how Git was formed and how things worked out, I really want to focus on why Git was created. So Git was basically created by Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds is also attributed to be the creator of Linux operating system, on which your modern systems like Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian are based off. And I'm not joking to you guys. This quote was literally one of his quotes in one of his conferences. So Linus is your god, right? So why did he create Git? So this was a pretty interesting story. I wanted to highlight why we are using Git and why Linus thought of creating Git. So I think distributed version control system was something that Linus was using to create Linux. And as Kush has clearly highlighted the power of open source, the point was that people, thanks to version control system and open sourcing tools, can contribute to huge projects by just being at whatever place and whatever time of their convenience, and literally across the globe. So at that point of time when Linus was creating the Linux kernel, they lost their license to a company, BitKeeper Software, which was basically a distributed version control system, commercial at that point of time. Now what happened was that these licensing and lawsuits, they work in a very different scenario. Now, at that particular point of time, BitKeeper didn't allow them to use that particular version control system, and they really had to pay for the project. And the Linux kernel as such wasn't earning any money. I mean, it is an open source project, right? You are not supposed to earn off money at that point of time. So in that frustration, Linus literally created his own version control system, and it was far more better than Bitkeeper. And it has the following points: the reliability, the efficient management of large projects, support for distributed development, and support for non-linear development. It's by non-linear, I mean it's just not had to go one way. A lot of developers can develop at a different point of time. So there were a lot of distributed version control systems even at that point of time, even being some of them being open sourced. None of them was not able to satisfy the need of Linus, or probably the duration or the method of that Linux kernel development. So driven by all of this, Git was basically attributed to Linus. He created it. And then now from 2005 to till date, Git is one of the most popular version control systems that we are using. And it has a huge amount of stability, popularity, and a lot of people are developing Git day by day, right? So again, I think I'm almost there at the end of my presentation. So all hail the god Linus, and thanks to him that we are having this amazing open source community and the development and everything. I think we all can attribute everything to Linus Torvalds at the end. And yeah, stop using Windows. So I think that was it from my side. So thank you so much, each and every one of you. And yeah, I think now we are open to questions. So are there any questions and everything that we can probably share up? So Jay and Jaski, you guys can probably let me know of any questions if there are any. I wasn't able to watch the stream. हाँ कुछ आ रही. Right. So Shrishti has a doubt of difference between Git and GitHub. Yeah. So Git is something as a tool which you probably use to track of everything, all the files and everything that you can pick up. And then you push it onto the internet for other developers to work around. So that is GitHub. So you can understand Git as your files and GitHub as your Google Drive. So you could literally share that Google Drive around the globe. So in a nutshell, you can compare Git and GitHub in that sense. But I don't worry. I guess there are upcoming sessions will probably clear you more with the differences and the interdependability of these. So any other questions that you guys want to have? That's it. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on this session.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Priya Agarwal, and this particular part of this session is devoted to getting started with Git and GitHub. Just a second, I'm going to share my screen. Is it visible? Okay. So, if you're new to programming, you might have heard about this term called Git and people using it and how you can use it, right? So before getting into what exactly is Git, let's just talk about some history. Shubhang has already told us about that, but I'm just going to repeat it a bit. Git was initially designed and developed by Linus Torvalds. He's the same guy who created Linux kernel. So now if you know about Linux kernel, so you might know that it is open sourced. Okay. And if you want to like add on any sort of features, or if you want to make any sort of changes, what you can do is you can just download the code, you can make the desired changes, and then you can submit it. Although that won't be accepted, but you can just try it out, right? So some of you might be getting this in your head that if he has already created one open source thing, then why he created Git, like another open source thing. Let's imagine a real world scenario. There are millions of programmers in this world, and just imagine that everyone is trying to like work on the same code. They are downloading the same code, they are making the changes in the same code, and then they are submitting it. Imagine how difficult it would be for them to manage it, right? So in order to like correct all that, in order to manage all that properly, he created Git. Git is used for collaboration. Like suppose if there are 5 people and you 5 want to work on a single project, so you can do that using Git. It is used for collaboration. Plus, Git is a version control system. It is a distributed version control system, and by far, I'm assuming that you have an idea what exactly is version control system. Shubhang has already told you all about that, and it manages your source code. Now, what exactly is source code? See, you know about code, right? Source code is nothing but it's a files. Imagine you have a project. It has folders in it, and those folders have files in it. So those files are known as your source code files. Okay. Uh, why is Git needed? See, I've already told you that you can just download the code, you can just make the changes, and then you can submit it or push it. But like, what is the real need of Git? Why do we actually need it? The most important feature is implicit backup. Okay, implicit backup is something that the chances of losing data are very rare. Imagine you're working on a project, okay, and you have worked a lot on that project. You are on your 16th or 17th commit. Now, I know you don't know about what exactly is a commit. As of now, just think about a commit is submitting your data or submitting your code. You'll get to know more about this later in this session only. So you are on your 16th or 17th commit, and now something happens and you want to go back to your first commit. 16th commit, and you want to go back to your first commit or any of the commits. So with Git, you can do it very easily because Git keeps a track of all your changes. It saves your code whenever you make a change to the cloud, making it easy for you to access it anytime. So your chances of losing that data are very rare. Okay. And this Git versus GitHub. What is the difference between Git and GitHub? Git is a version control system. It is a tool which manages your source code, which allows you to collaborate with others. Okay, it manages all your source code files, the changes that you make. Whereas GitHub is a cloud-based hosting service which manages your Git repositories. Now, repositories is also a new word, right? As of now, consider it as folders of your projects. Isha will brief you about it soon. So Git manages your source code. GitHub manages your Git repositories. Okay, a real world example. Let's consider GitHub as your Instagram. So what is, let's consider GitHub as your Instagram and a tool in Instagram, let's say camera, as your Git. So GitHub, Instagram, Git, camera. Git is just a tool which manages your source code, but all your repositories, all your projects are managed by GitHub. I hope it is clear now. And now Isha will brief you about what exactly are repositories and how you can make them. Over to you, Isha.
Okay, so let's get started with repositories. I'll quickly share my screen. Yeah, so is it visible? So repository is like a folder of your project, and to ease it, we can compare it with any folder on our desktop. Like we are creating a project and we have its folder on our desktop. Now the project repository can contain in itself subfolders or other files. Now, one thing that people often confuse, or there is this common misconception that a repository can only have code files, but it's not necessary. A repository can have text files, image files, or anything that we use in our project. So it is basically a local folder in our computer, and there are two kinds of repositories. Later in this session, it will be told that there's a local repository and a remote repository. Basically, a local repository is in your computer, and a remote repository is a representation of that local repository on your GitHub account. It's similar as Shivang sir told that it's representing your local repository on your GitHub account. Like we have a Google Drive, we make a folder on our computer and then put that file on that Google Drive in order to share it with community. So in order to do anything of this sort, we need to first install Git. So for the installation process of Git, we'll be providing a link in the chat, and when you'll click on that link, you'll see this similar screen. Over there, you can choose your operating system, if it's Mac or Windows or Linux, and you can install Git. Only after Git installation, you can use Git commands in your command prompt or Linux terminal, and then create remote repositories or local repositories. So if we need to create remote repositories, like we need to connect our local folders or directories of project with our GitHub account, we also need to set up our GitHub account, and setting up a GitHub account is pretty easy. It's similar to making a Facebook account. You just need to fill the registration form, fill in the details, and you'll have a GitHub account, as stated in the beginning also. And after you have set up a GitHub account, then we can proceed. After Git installation in your computer, we have a few basic commands that will help you. The first of all is git init. Git init basically initializes an empty Git repository in your project folder or directory which you have made in your computer. It will basically tell the computer that this is a local repository which might in future be connected to a remote repository on your GitHub account. It will help it to initialize an empty Git repository. And if you get stuck with any command or any command you're not able to understand the syntax, then there is Git help always for the rescue. On typing Git help, it will display the 21 most common Git commands. But if there is a specific Git command that you're not able to understand, then you need to type Git help and the specific command name, and all the specific details will be displayed. Then another important command that will be used really often is git status. It will basically tell the status of the repository. Now, status here means it will tell the commits made, the branches. These are all technical terms, but commit up till here can be considered as the changes made in the code of your project, or branching will soon be told to you what branching is. So all these changes can be seen in the Git status. It will basically give you a history, like we have Google Chrome history about your repository. So why GitHub when we have other sources also, like GitLab or SourceForge? It is basically very popular, as Shubhang sir already told, and popular companies like Airbnb, Netflix, and Shopify use it too. So we have provided the link for the Git installation and Git account setup to you, and you can also refer to the resources we'll be providing for a complete playlist in case you face any problem in this installation. So we hand over this session for further topics. Thank you.
Hello, people. Hi, guys. I'm firstly going to introduce myself Shresh Arora from third year. So I'm going to take some questions first because you have amazing questions. Stop me going in. Like Prakhar Srivastav has asked, Git init just makes any regular director a Git monitor directory. Yes. So what happens when you write Git init? Like we will be diving into Git commands and how we develop, create a repository on GitHub and make it locally. We will be diving into that, Prakhar. Okay. Yeah, I would be diving into that. Git init is basically when you go in your terminal and when you start your Git project, you just say to the system that where your this track this whole directory. This is my parent directory. now track everything in a tree format. So that's the whole idea of it. Like it creates a .git folder, and that .git folder maintains whole history of code you write and the small commits you make of the progress of your application or whatever you're developing. Yeah, it's like initializing your repository. Right, Saurabh? Any other questions? Yeah, actually for Windows, see what happened, Git was actually built for Linux and Unix systems earlier when Linus Torvalds started. So Windows itself didn't had all those underlying systems that were actually required in Linux and Unix. So Git created their own bash for Windows systems. So that's why they had to build a Git bash for Windows. So Git bash is a very Windows tool, not just a Git tool. Like it's used to interact with Git, but just in Windows cases. In Linux or Unix environments, Git is directly downloaded, or you can just install it directly in binary and it works. What is an advice for beginners in aspects of language who aspire to explore the open source community? There are a lot of languages in our DSC chapter. We have a lot of language that we use, like Python, JavaScript. We have some good stuff in Rust going on. We just started on it, and C++ is like if you are doing CPP stuff, yeah, like algo stuff, CPP is go to. But it depends mostly on the project. If the project's requirements are very very fast performant web servers are, then like you should go in something like Rust. If you want more like flexibility in terms of application development, then you can go ahead with Python's like Flask or Django framework. Like it depends on the requirement of the project. Like sometimes people choose to build native applications in Kotlin for Android instead of using React Native, just because the amount of control you have on the system. The languages sometimes create restrictions, but your goal should be so that that you learn the concepts first, then go ahead and building applications. Like you can learn the tools in every language are same. The for loop is there, variable is there, if else conditions are there, switch statements are there. These basic tools are in every language. So once you learn those tools, you can just go on and then learn the frameworks. That should be your approach. Yeah, guys, I will proceed with my session now. I won't be taking any doubts. Just to say. I hope you guys can see my screen. Is the screen visible? Yeah. So guys, as you already know that we have this amazing site called GetSCM. Like GitHub got developed by Linus Torvalds because he was making this amazing. I will show you the project that led to the development of Git actually. Linux. Now, our friend over here, like a great, I'm not sure if it's a friend, but a great, amazing person called Linus Torvalds was making this project called Linux. Now, in this, while he was maintaining it, there were tons of people who wanted to make this project amazing. And getting contributions from multiple people over here was taking a lot of time and energy. So he made this amazing thing called Git, so that it converts it into a tree format. Like I would show you how the tree looks like. Like I'm just showing you sample images right now, but you know what a tree is like, or you might learn into a few days. But what happens that when you get a lot of people contributing to code, it becomes very difficult to manage. So that's why they okay. I think so. This looks better. Yeah. So as time went on, he realized that there are tons of requirements in a very social coding needed. So he developed this amazing software called Git. Now you can just download it and run it on your system. Like I should just make this like Git. Now this is a very bash command, if you see over here, and you can just start it by writing Git. If you are on macOS or Unix-based systems, you can just brew install Git, and it would do that magic of installing it. Or if you are on Windows-based systems, just go on downloads, install it. But Today, we are going to also talk about how to make PRs, what are merge requests and pull requests, how do you make one, and what a tree structure is in Git, because I think so that has not been covered till yet, and what tree structure actually does. And till that time, I just want to show you one XKCD comic. Like XKCD is one of my favorite comics creators. He's created this thing. Like he says that it's like you work on a collaborative project with a very beautiful graph tree model, and you have no idea, but you just memorize these shell commands and sync them up. And if errors come, delete your project and start. It happens in the initially, but it's considered as a joke, so just keep it a joke. And try to make that not your life, understand all the Git commands. And there's this amazing site I use if I sometimes get into problems called Git. If you are in ever problems, you can just visit this site. But it doesn't have all the main commands. But yeah, if you ever have any problems starting something. So let me show you how you start a Git project. Okay, I have over here my terminal. Now, the terminal is a very beautiful place. It gives you all control of the system you are, but in a very controlled manner. So I'm going to go into my projects folder. I'm trying to zoom a bit. Yep, I'm already in my projects folder. I have, so for example, I make a directory over here, say mk directory test get DSC. Now, over here, I have this amazing, like this is it. Into it. Now, when I've created this folder, I can just write git init dot, and it initialized a repository for me in my projects folder. Now, when I do ls-a, it would show me a .git folder. Now, this .git folder is the actual Git folder where all the data like whenever you call Git, it actually goes to this folder, .git folder. Now, if you just go on simply lsing, it won't give you an output. You have to say flag a, and the flag a gives the hidden ones out. So when we write, if I just cd into .git folder for a second, there's a lot of objects, hooks, info, config. These files you never have to touch. I'm just showing you what happens deep dive into this stuff when you go into the folder. But you should be always interacting this Git system with this CLI command called Git. That's what you have to do. Now, there's one amazing thing called GitHub CLI, which I use generally to make upload my documents on GitHub, which I will be showing just in a second. But before that, I would like to show you what actually does it mean to make a pull request, or how Git works. So here is a sample project system, how the project is made. For example, there are multiple files in it: a README file, a questions file, a proposals file, there's a CSS file. There are tons of files in a web application. If you see, if I even show you of DSC's work till now, we have, I think so I've opened it. I will just open it. And we have yeah, so even in our official website, we have tons of files just for the DSC's main website. If you are aware about, if you open the link, you visit it over here. That's not the point of the talk. The point is there are tons of files, and you need to manage tons of files. And we have right now 592 commits, which are a lot when we are 30 people working on this project, and we have tons of maintainers working just to make this fine. Now, when you have so many files in a project, just to say, when you have so many files in a project, it becomes very difficult to handle. So what does Git do? It creates a tree. Now, what happens is that everything that you do while you make the project, you create a version. Like you have this idea in Nolan movies that, there's a separate reality of where there's separate things happening. You explore this idea a lot in movies. But code, when you build code, that is actually what happens. You build a separate reality, as in kind, where there are certain features that are there. For example, in my website, I have a login page, and this login page is not like has some bug. Say, whenever I write a some random email, it doesn't allow that email. So what I do is basically go over, create a separate version of it. So over here, as you see, for example, Daniel's project line has these orange dots. Now, what these orange, forget about all these dots. This is a main line. Now, Jessica forked the project. Now, what it means to fork, listen carefully. What it means to fork is you create a separate reality from that very project, which has all that logic from the previous guy who has written, say, Daniel in this case. And then you create your changes in the green dot, as is visible over here, if you see the green dot. Now you do your changes and you send it to Daniel to request or see. So that's what happens underlying in through GitHub. We would be doing in a second. And how, like, now Daniel goes through the project again, and this Nathan, who has made a fork of his project, but he puts another, like, he puts a login stuff and some, profile stuff on the website, and then he says, I want to merge it to your code. Now he has done some part already. So these dots actually communicate a lot of code that has been bundled into a pack. You don't have to interact with it, but that's how Git understands it. So we're just going to deep dive into it. Do not take any tension about why we are seeing this graph and I'm not able to understand the graph. This graph is just how Git internally works, but this is now how you are interact with it. You just have to remember this graph while writing the code, that this is how different realities and branches are made. So as you might see, like, you can see multiple realities and multiple forks are there. But if we show our own algo book project over here, which you might be visiting in a while, we have different branches in it. And these branches are called master and front end. Now GitHub gives us a beautiful way of seeing it into a UI, though you can use it directly into your system using this system called, front end, this over here. You can just go to this front end directory, and this code changes and it shows 50 commits and 4 hours ago. Whereas when you go into the master one, you can see that there's 54 commits. So there's changes in commits. So there's two different histories. Think of it like two different histories that are going around, and the master one has all the ones, but front end has some previous ones which will get merged sooner or later to master. So that's how changes happen over here. And these two have different kind of, like, think of them like a tree's nodes, which, like, imagine them maybe I should use a drawing tool. For example, think of it like this, that you have this main consistent project. Then this is the master line. I think so. This is the master. And then over here, we have this FE. Now, this FE is, made with certain changes. And over time, one of our teammates, Jay, makes some changes on the project. So he puts them up, and there's this in the graph. And then we put them over there back. So as time progresses, you make one more change, and you can just make one more change over here in FE. And this is one more commit, and then it gets merged to this. So the main line of master remains consistent. There are checks to see if the code is not breaking, but this is how basically internally Git works. And I think so it's boring now. So I would be shifting how to the way we do it over here. So for example, I have initialized a Git repository, and I just need to create a repo of it. Now I'm using this amazing tool called GH-repo, and it's a GitHub CLI. If you're not aware with it, I can just show you. Okay, guys, I just got the information. CLI could be shown later, but I can just show you how you can just create one and upload it. Like, I can just create a test repository, and I can create a public one, and it automatically puts a remote in my system. Now it has created this repository called GitHub over here, and I can go visit it. It's the same result that happens when you, just a sec. I guess created test kit CAC over here. This is the same exact repository I created just right in front of you. Now over here, this is this thing called branch. You can create a branch in it. You can create commits, and what does commits and branch mean. I think so I've tried to make that easy for you guys. And when I did this create thing, it automatically got remotes. So I can go away and get remote, and it shows me origin. Now origin is the remote I just created over here, and I say git push origin master. Right now it doesn't have anything, so we'll just upload over here, fail to make. But what if I create a small, say a file, say touch file.js, and I open say vim file.js, and I just write some code, say const a equals to 2, just a random code that I wrote. Now it's been written, it is available just for file.js, and I just add it. Now, amazing part of Git is, now Git doesn't know about this file. It has to know about it. So you say git add file.js. Now, when you do git status, which is also one amazing command, it shows you that there's a new file that has been committed. So like there's a new file it's tracking. I can remove it from crash, but if I want to commit it, I can just, there's one more also amazing one. Instead, if you don't want to write file dot, like whatever the name of the file is, if there's multiple files, you can just say the directory of it, or just say git add dot, it tracks the whole system. Now, once you do that, it's already over there because we did that. But now we need to commit it. We need to flag it. Like what changes do they do in this file? For example, I just say git commit m file changes, some random changes name, whatever you did, you just tell the system that this changes were made. Now it tells you that this is the ID of the commit. Now ID is just a random number, I don't even know what number was, it just generated by itself, and it tells you what changes were made and what was done, what insertions were done, deletions were done, how many insertions or deletions were done. Now you can just upload it, git push origin master, and now it's uploaded. It's being uploaded. So as it got uploaded on our repository over here, we have this file.js one. It's public right now, you can even see, and it has the same code that I committed a few seconds ago, const a equal to 2. Now this gives us a very good UI feel, and that is very useful. But once you start doing projects, you would be working collaboratively. That's the whole idea of Hacktoberfest that we are trying to do. So we go into the DSC's AlgoBook repository. AlgoBook one. So I have just not forked it. I wanted to show you how we can do that. You can take any project you wish to, go here and fork it. Now, once you fork it, it creates a version of that very Git repository inside your whole main request. Now I have this whole version, like I told you about this reality thing. Now that reality is different from mine. I can do whatever I wish to over here, and I can just clone this one into my own internal system without anyone without affecting their own code base. So I have a separate copy of the whole system just working on mine. I can make that happen. So I'm on my system over here, projects. I can just clone it. The amazing command is git clone, type it like this, git clone the link that is quite visible over here. If you are new to GitHub CLI, you can use this one. There's also option for SSH, but you need to just then push your keys on GitHub. That would be right now hard. So we clone AlgoBook's system into our own. Also, I thought I should also share with you this new feature just released right now called GitHub Code Spaces. It just opens a new code space for you. I think so I have maxed my limits. I can't show you them right now. But see, I have just cloned AlgoBook. What it did right now, it cloned the whole, it means it downloaded the whole copy of that code and put it on my system. Now I can see it into AlgoBook. And when it's done, it shows me on which branch I am. I create my own branch now. Now the command for making your own version inside your system. Now the fork system is creating a version. Now you create your own version inside it. Say git checkout. Checkout is the command. You put B for creating a new branch. And then you say, for example, I put my name / the changes I'm doing. Say random changes. That's what up to you what you want to name the branch. See, okay, so yeah, Okay, cool. So guys, this is basically how you create a new branch. And once you create your new branch, it just adds you up over here. Like you can see those random changes. Now you can just, make any changes. For example, I do a random readme change just to show you guys how changes are done. So I open the readme file over here. This is kind of huge. So so we have a lot of stuff over here. Like this is a random change I'm doing, but you need to make it constructive change. Try making it constructive. For example, I do just one over here, and I put some line over here that this project is live on, say, website, and I put the link for it. What's exactly link? I forgot. Yeah, here it is. Okay, just paste it over here, and that's the website. HTTPS. Now we have written the link over here. Now you should not be, doing small changes. Try to make it major contributive changes. But if you cannot, we will guide you as the time progresses, and we will save it now. Like now that /x was command for Vim for saving that file. Now when I go to git status, it's going to show me this change has been made, and I need to add it. Like I would add that file. Now I would ask to give me git status. It shows me git modified. I make it git, add dot git commit random change. It's a random change. It doesn't have to do anything. Now what I've done is created a commit. Right now, this commit contains the part of how much insertions, deletions, and what this deletion was done. So this is the thing that has happened, and I can now push it to my origin. Git push origin master. Now, first I should tell you what remotes are. Git remote. It shows me origin only. Now, origin. Now, origin is the one of my forked one. If I want to push it on the main DSC server, I can, but I have added it because I can do that. But you should not be doing that way. You should push to a fork, and I should git push origin master. I can do it on master branch because it's my own one, but I have to do it on the branch I have created. So I push it on the new branch that I have created, and I paste it over here. This way it's written, it won't come to your system. I'm just customized mine that way. You can check check bash commands that do that. Okay, so now it's taken the origin as the remote and which branch has to shift. Now it created a new option for me. If you see, you can push this to algobook pull random change. I can go to, you can just copy this and make a pull request now. Now it's not important to copy it from there only, but okay, I can just show you once that. Now once you upload this, no, not this one. I'll go book one. Yeah, so we have our, it shows me what I can do over here while making these random changes. These are the changes that were made, that this project is live on website. I know it's not formatted well. This is just for showing case. Now we'll just delete it once it's done. So what happens now is that it takes that from my own repo that I had forked just in front of you, created a new branch in terminal. And now that terminal, like GitHub and GitHub are very synchronized. If you do something in Git, GitHub would track it. It's not a big deal. So a random change just for test. And I just create a small pull request. Now, it's important to put in details of what changes you had made, like while committing. Like if you are committing not to DSC but to some other people, they would have a template for what you are writing. Okay, guys. Yeah. If you have any questions, just start popping in. I will keep on answering them. And okay. So this is how you make just a small change in system, and that's done. You can just delete. Like this now. I can just close this pull request because it's not required. Or you can I can ask people to review it. or I can convert it to a draft. Draft means that I'm not ready for making this pull request. And this means pull request just means that you are asking some other person to accept their code. Now, just don't make this small change. Try to make some contributive change. I'm repeating again. And I'm going to just, you can just you can ready this preview, and you can also put different labels on the system, because I put it draft and there's no reviewers, but I can just, just show you. I just showed you how to do this thing, that how to make credentials. Yeah, if you see right now in my own fork, I have got this thing called trace random changes, which is not visible on there. You see where. So that's the whole idea of it, that you create a version of reality where you have done stuff and then you combine those things to the other one. That's how it happens. So guys, that's it. I'm going to stop screen sharing. I hope I did a good job explaining you how Git and GitHub work together. Any questions, you can go ahead with that. Yeah, sure. I think so. There's no questions.
Hello. so basically अब देखते हैं कि स्टार्टिंग से रेपो कैसे बना सकते हैं आप लोग, उसमें अपने कमांड्स वगैरह कैसे पुश कर सकते हैं कर सकते हैं। तो यहाँ पे आप देखिए जैसे गिटहब है, तो इसमें ऊपर यहाँ पे न्यू रिपोजिटरी बना सकते हैं आप। तो लेट्स नेम इट लाइक, आई विल नेम इट लाइक एग्जांपल स्ट्रीम एंड ओके, and then it's now created. Let's now push some code here. Okay, so I have some code written beforehand, so let's initialize this repo. So let's use git init. Now you can see the repo is initialized, so let's follow this command only. So you can add git you can create a readme in your local, like using this command, and then you can add this readme. Okay, so let's see what happens using this status. So you can see we have one file which we have committed, and we have these red types file which we need to add and then push. So let's add this file first of all. Okay, now we can commit this file using git commit -m, and let's use make some useful comment. Okay, now you let push this file in. Okay, but first of all we need to add remote, because my local doesn't know where he want to push, where I want to push my code. So let's add the remote. So now my git and github is linked. Okay, so now I can push my code to my repository. As you can see, it's uploading, and now it's done. And now we can see on GitHub that we have file over here. Okay, now let's make a new issue for Hacktoberfest and all. Let's create a new issue. Since I know my context in these files are in Latin, let's convert it into a English. and now we have one issue, and now my friend will will make you understand how we can make a pull request.
So yes, is my screen visible? All right. So whenever you have to contribute into open source, like Animesh here created an issue. So you go to the repository where you want to contribute, and you see you go to the issues tab. And if there are any issues, like there is one issue like convert content language from Latin to English, and if you feel that you can contribute to this, then you have to click on the issue. And if you ever contribute to a big repository, then there will be more descriptive, there will be a description of what changes, there will be screenshots or some context like what you have to make, what changes you have to make. Then you will comment like I am interested. And as you will comment, then the owner of the repository, if he feels that he want to give the work to you, then he will get back to you and assign you the task. Animesh. All right. So until he will assign us the issue, so we'll start by forking the repository, and we'll choose where we want to. The fork command, the fork will help us create a local version of the app of the big repository. Like you don't want to make the changes in the repository with the original code base. So forking will help you create a local branch, and then you will copy the. Yes. The command for cloning the app is git clone, and you will then paste the link of the forked repository. And as the changes requested were like I have to convert the Latin language into English language, so I'll be following this. And as we can see in this, Animesh, who is the owner of this repository, he has assigned me the work 1 minute ago. Yes. So I'll be making a very small change here. And then now we have to understand what a remote is. So remote is the URL that points to the original code repository, not the fork one. As we in the open source community, as there are many developers contributing to a single code base, so we do not want to make our changes that are wrong changes and to push them directly into the original repository. So we'll be creating a remote. Git remote git. I'm sorry. Git remote command lists the origin. Origin is a default which points towards the fork repository. Theme is the name of the remote, and I'll this link is the link of the original repository which was made by Animesh. Now I'll type git remote and it will show me that a remote called upstream has been created. Next step is now we need to understand what is a branch. Like branch, it is quite intuitive. Like branches of a tree, the branch in Git, it creates different codes for different branch. Like you can keep like we saw that front end and back end different branches were there, so we can create code base of front end and back end another different, and then we can merge it into master. We can the command to create a branch is git checkout b and then the name of the branch. As we see that the name of the branch has been changed from master, which is provided by default from GitHub from Git, and it has been changed to fixed language. Now git status command shows us that what changes we have made overall, and as we can see, it shows that modified index.html. This is shown in red color because I have not added I have not yet added the index.html changes. So I'll add changes. Now I'll type git status. Oh yes, now these changes are ready to be committed as it has been showing in green color. Yes. In git commit command in git first I will talk about git add. In git add you can just stage your changes. Like it is it creates all the changes in a queue that will be ready for commit later on. So you will type git commit for committing those changes that are placed in a queue right now, and -m flag is used to create to a commit message. Like you will be contributing to a repository, and then it should show that what changes you have made. Right. So it shows that this is the name of the branch, this is the code, and this is the commit message converted Latin to English. One file changed. So now I'll push the changes. The syntax of git push is like first you have to write the name of the remote. I'm using origin, and because I want to go, I want the changes to go into the forked repository, and then you'll type the name of the branch, that is fixed slash language. Nice. The changes have been pushed, and it shows me a link here. I can go directly by clicking on this link, and here is a commit message, and it shows that from Devanshu. This is my username, live stream branch, and this is the name of the branch, and it is merging into the master Animesh 007. So now I'll be creating a pull request. It's now over to Animesh now.
Like now I will show you how git merge and all things work. So we have a pull request from my friend, and the things I would like to highlight over here, like first of all, you need to mention the issue number which you are solving, so that it gets linked to the issue. Always try to write the issue number in the comment when you are raising a PR. Okay, now and since we have no conflicts in this file, I can successfully merge this file and confirm, and now it is merged. And now we can see we have an issue over here, and we can close this one. As you can see, we have a PR linked over here. And one small thing, like we can on how to search in GitHub. Like if you want, there are so many files in GitHub. Okay, so you don't know where exactly a small things lie. Okay, so you need to find. Okay, so come on, let's. So we can find by using search bar, and it showed where the that particular thing lies in the GitHub. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Manroop, are you there? I guess there's some issue. Animesh, can you show how to merge the pull request?
I have merged the peer.
All right. All right. Are there any doubts? You can ping us in the comment section. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Uh, he's not here, Manroop, right now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, so as we said, I guess the voice is getting echoed.
Can you speak, please, Kush? I think we can have a quick check.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I think it's perfect now.
Okay.
Yeah, so guys, we are open for doubts. We'll take a quick doubt session of 1 or 2 minutes if there are any, and we'll proceed for the next session.
The next session is on various text editors and some cool extensions which this text editors have for you all guys to ease up the process of using Git and GitHub. So yeah, we are open for doubts. You can punch in your doubts to the comment section and we'll take them. Yeah, so one question from Ayush Verma is, can you please provide us some basic repositories to make PRs? So yeah, Ayush, we obviously have a few repositories on DSC's GitHub on which we are open for PRs. And those PRs are they are for the first time contributors and they are also tagged as good first issues. So I think I'll tell you what exactly has to be done by sharing my screen. Yeah, so let's go to github.com and I'll show you some of the repositories on which you guys could make PRs. So very first is you could visit github.com and you could visit Developer Student Club's GitHub. The link to which is in the description as well as the chat for YouTube. And here you can check out a few repositories. One of them is AlgoBook. One of them is the official website repository. One of them is the URL shortener repository. So all of these top three repositories are open for any kind of PRs you could make. Those are simple kind of PRs in which you have to either change the content of your text or you need to change something else that might be something related to badges in readme files or just minor changes. So that's how you could practice up your Git skills. And yeah, so that's all you could do with all of these three repositories. Please visit them and request for solving the issues. The issues are tagged as Hacktoberfest and first time contributions. So let's see if there are more doubts.
Jay, there was one more doubt called that has been left. That is commit versus PR. I'm not sure if that has been taken up.
Yeah. So that's a nice question. What is a commit and what is a PR? So let me tell you in very simple language what is the difference between a commit and a PR. So commit is basically saying that I have done a task. So whenever you are working on a project and suppose you change one of the links of the project or you change some text of the project. So what you need to do is you need to commit. This word itself describes what your action is. So basically you would say that, yeah, this specific task has been done by me. So what GitHub would do is as soon as you create a commit using the command git commit -m, so that would track all of your changes which you have done up till now and add a tag to that changes that these changes have been done by Rahul Arora and all of these changes were done at this specific time and this specific lines were worked upon. So that is what a commit is. What is a PR? PR is a short form for pull request, and what a pull request is, that's the core of open source development. So basically, whenever you are working on a project, so obviously you are working on a forked version of the project. Now, when you need to submit your code to the actual organization repository, by submitting, I mean whenever you want your code to be merged into that repository so that it goes to production and the further levels. So that is when a pull request comes into place. So pull request is basically creating a request to the maintainer of a specific repository to please take your code, review that code, suggest me some changes if there are any, and put that code into the master branch of my repository. By my repository, I mean the maintainer's repository or the actual repository of the organization. So I think that makes clear what is the difference between a commit and a PR.
Yeah. One more thing that I wanted to add is we have this great article that has been published by Hacktoberfest itself, which suggests some great, you know, repositories to work with, beginner-friendly projects or repositories that you can contribute in. I have shared the link in the comment section as well. You can check out this article. You can see a lot of repositories are there. You can view those and you can see where you can contribute and make some meaningful changes. Let's go with the next question. What is okay? Next question is, what kind of projects are we going to submit pull requests for? It totally depends on you. We can have any type of project. You can have any project that is there on GitHub. So whether it be a code base of Linux or any big organization like Mozilla, or whether it is a small project of your friend that you're working on together, but just make sure that they are meaningful contributions. I hope that solves the question. Next question is, where can we find a list of all the shown commands in case we forget? Jay, I think you'd like to cover this.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is whenever you are using Git, I obviously understand that you get stuck across what command I should use, and you are always searching for a place where you could get the list of all the commands. So one such thing is what we believe in DSC is you should know the art of Googling. So one thing is whenever you Google out Git cheat sheet or something like the list of all the GitHub commands, there are tons of websites which will show you all the commands listed in a very nice manner with telling you that what specific command would do what. But if you are suppose in a CLI tool like Git Bash and you want to have a quick idea of what are the available commands to me and what kind of command what would this command do, then you could simply do git -h. The -h flag is for help, and that would list out all the available commands in a terminal for you. And is there anything, Kush, you would like to add more to this?
No,
Yes.
that was great. I also shared a link of a cheat sheet in the comments.
Yeah.
So I think that would help. Also, if you guys face any difficulties, we are always open to questions in our Discord server. So make sure to check that out and join us there. Let's go to the next question then. Okay, I think we have completed all the questions. So guys, just if you guys have any question, please put it up. We have some time with us, so we'll take that up and then we'll start with the next thing in our timeline. Okay, I think there are no more doubts. So let's start with the next session. It will be taken up by Jay and me and Jaskirat only, but I think Jaskirat is having some problems, so we both will handle.
Yeah. So let's start with the next session, guys. So the next session is based on what kind of extensions you have in a specific code editor. We'll be suggesting some good extensions that you could use daily, and that would like speed up your work for doing tasks that you do on a regular basis. That is committing code, pushing the code to a specific branch. So let me start with one of our text editor at DSC. That's VS Code. So VS Code basically stands for Visual Studio Code, and you guys could Google it out, and you could get links to installing VS Code in your systems. So why we suggest using VS Code at the first place is because of the richness in the extensions VS Code has and the integration with GitHub. Now, we would like to tell you that VS Code has an extreme bonding with GitHub, because obviously there have been many updates pushed to VS Code that bind Git and GitHub with VS Code in a very nice way. So let's start with a practical demonstration of how VS Code could help you with the help of extensions to know about how you could easify your task. So I'll share my screen in a second, and then we'll start with that. Yep. So there we are. As you guys could see, I have fired out my code editor. The code editor which you guys could see here is VS Code. I hope the size of the text is okay. So you guys could see that I have opened VS Code, and the left side is the file explorer, where I could see the different files in my project. And you guys could see on the top that this is the AlgoBook project. So that's the code for the AlgoBook project. So let's get started with how to use Git from VS Code. So the very first thing which you could obviously do without installing any of the extensions on Git, without installing any of the extensions of Git in VS Code, is by simply clicking this panel. Now, whenever you click on this panel, this is the default panel which is provided by VS Code. And as you could see, it also says source control. So what this panel does is it shows you some changes you have made in the file. So for example, I go to one of the files like app.js and I change hello world with an exclamation mark and save that file, right? So you could see there is a one popping up here, and there are changes being shown, like what changes I have made. So this is one of the place you could go and check out the list of files where you have made changes. This is by default there in VS Code and needs no installation. And if you could see in this menu, there are various options of pushing your code, cloning a repository, even committing changes, and all obviously pulling your code from the repositories, pushing your code, creating branches. So you guys could explore this tool, which is obviously there in VS Code by default. Now, what I would like to show you guys is two more extensions on GitHub, on Git and GitHub, integrated into VS Code. So you guys could go to the extensions panel, the shortcut for which is Control-Shift-X in Windows, and you guys could simply type GitHub issues and pull requests. So we could wait, yeah. So you guys could see there is an extension with this name, GitHub pull requests and issues, and this is an official extension by GitHub, as you guys could see the developer name. And what this extension allows you is, if you have installed this extension, you get a panel like this, which allows you to see the list of pull requests and issues open on a specific repo. Like if I click on pull request and click on all, so here is the list of all the pull requests open on the AlgoBook project. And if I click on a specific pull request, I could check the description of that pull request. Like this pull request has been made by Herschel SZZ, and what he has done. So yeah, this is a beautiful integration provided by GitHub recently into VS Code, and this is one of the best extension I could say for using Git in VS Code, because it integrates pull requests and issues into VS Code. So another section for issues. In issues, as you guys could see, there are various issues mentioned, like there is an issue on adding linear search to the project. There is an issue on adding CSV imports to the project. So that's all which is there with this extension. Now we also have one more extension, which is GitHub Lens. You guys could search that out, and there would be an extension called GitHub Lens, which you could install. And after it's not basically GitHub Lens, it's Git Lens. So I'll correct that out so you guys could see. So yeah, here it is, this one. So git lens is, as you guys could see, it says get supercharged. So that's also one of the extensions we had, which was very good before the extension from GitHub came officially. So if you check out that extension, it also has a super good panel, I could say, on showing what kind of things you want to check. If you want to check out the branches on this repo, or you guys want to see what all commits have been made on this repo, or you guys want to track the file history, which could also be done obviously from the default installation of source control we have in VS Code. So yeah, that's one more extension, GitLens, which we would suggest you guys to use. So yeah, these were some of the things from my side for using Git and GitHub like a pro from VS Code itself. So yeah, that's all. One more thing which I would say is don't keep yourself restricted to only using VS Code. VS Code is just a suggestion from our side, but there are many text editors out there from JetBrains. There are many text editors like Atom Text Editor, which is quite famous if you would guys like to know after VS Code. So yeah, that's all about the various extensions we have in GitHub. And I think Kush, you can take over and put some more insights if you want on this.
No, I guess that was awesome. Also, there are a lot of extensions based on what language you are working on or what project you are working on. So if you're working with a React project or a JavaScript project, you would have different extensions. So you could always Google the best extensions for your tech stack and your workflow, and you can find out that VS Code actually has a lot of a huge collection of really useful, extensions. I think without wasting much time, let's start with the next session, that is how to write beautiful README files. And that will be taken up by Shubhang Bhaiya and Priyanshu. So, yeah.
All right. Hello and welcome everyone once again. So I think my introduction is not needed. I think, yeah, Priyanshu, you can start with your introduction and then we can directly dive into the session.
Hello everyone, my name is Priyanshu, and we are going to discuss here about README files and Markdown conventions related to it. So let's get started, I guess.
So Priyanshu, you
to
can
share my
share your...
screen?
Yeah, please go ahead and share your screen.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm able to. Now you can, yeah. All right. So hello and welcome once again everyone to this session. So this particular session, we are trying to cover up how to write beautiful README files and various Markdown conventions that we follow. in a nutshell, we'll be having a walkthrough of how to write all the beautiful and meaningful README files on GitHub, right? So the next slide. All right. So what are exactly README files? So in majority of the projects that you're going to ever see in the open source community or on GitHub, you'll find that there is this one major file which clearly displays a lot of text, probably comprising of the content of the project and what this project is, who are the contributors, and how do you set up and everything. So README could be considered as a introduction to the project or how to set it up, whatever the steps that programmers want you guys to understand. So README is the first thing that everyone looks for whenever they are looking for a repository in a project. So the key components of the README file can be, as I stated, can be like an introduction of the project, why this project was needed, how do you install it as a user, how do you set it up as a developer, who are the contributors, what are the various licenses and technology that this project is using, and so on. Then how should I make a README file is something that we'll probably cover up like in the coming slides. But the key important factor out here is that be as descriptive as possible. Make sure that your READMEs convey the clearest of message and there should be no ambiguity left. So we'll be covering up these things in the next coming slides. Next slide, please. So yeah, as I stated that why it is required. So as Priyanshu has clearly mentioned over here is that useful information about the project. It is kind of a manual. So it is like an identity of that project. Without README, it would be very hard to understand probably the basic requirement and structure of the project. And yeah, next slide, please. So these are some of the key components of the README file that we as a developer have experienced, and after seeing a lot of open source projects, is that there should be a title of the project which should be clearly mentioned. Don't worry, we'll be showing you a mock repository or a repository from our community so that you guys are well versed of all the conventions and components that we are supposed to use. Then description of the project, screenshots and demo of the project. That is something which would be very useful for future developers. Technologies used, as I stated, insight and special features, technical description of both the ways. Like if you are a user, how to install it, and if you're a developer, how to set up it. And probably all the social links or anything that you have related to your project, and probably if you as a developer want to connect to the people. So yeah, you can definitely include your social links. Next slide, please. So how should I make a README file? So README is basically can be written in any text format per se, but the most common one that we usually use to format our README files is Markdown, and hence comes the name readme.md. This .md is an extension for a Markdown file. So Markdown is a sort of structure-based language which allows you to format a lot of things and then make sure that you are able to render it in a very presentable form. And it is a very lightweight formatting. So now there are some important conventions and methods that we use to write a file, and I think that will be like presented by Priyanshu. So onwards for you. Next slide, please. Yeah.
Okay, so now we will talk about Markdown conventions. As Shubhank Bhaiya mentioned, that README file is a very important file, and we will write that in Markdown language, and we will discuss the basics of Markdown conventions, which we are going to use while writing README files. So the first one is the heading, which we are going to present on the top of the README file. It can be topic of the project, then anything else you want as a heading. So there are 6 type of heading, and the convention is also very simple. You just have to put a hashtag in front of the heading. So we have 6 type of heading, and in heading 1 you have to put 1 hashtag, and heading 2 2 hashtags, and it goes on to heading 6, in which we have 6 hashtags. I'll show you an example of this. So I have written some codes here. So this is a file. We have headings in it. So this is the output I'm showing. And for example, I'll write DSCTIT. So this is also coming in the preview. So as you see, there's no space in between heading 6 and DSCTIT. So we can add that also. For that, solution would be, we can add a p tag with an ampersand and BSP. So that would add a space for you. So that is with headings. You can also add with 2 DSCTIT. So that is smaller one. And if we go to next thing, it is a paragraph text. It is very simple in Markdown language. If you have done HTML and all, you will be familiar with p tag, which I used previously. But in Markdown, you don't have to add any tag. You can just write the text, and it will be considered as paragraph text, and it will be shown same in the preview section. So if we go over here, I have paragraph. So it's a title tag. This is also heading tag. So it does not require any tag. You can add something in this in the same line, or you can add a new paragraph. So if you want to add a new paragraph, you have to insert a blank line in between the two paragraphs. So that would be the solution for adding a new paragraph, and same goes on. So moving on to the next part, it is a hyperlink. This is also a very important part of the README file. If you are writing hyperlinks, it means you are leading the viewer to a different site. That might be the project or a website. In this case, I have given these two examples, and the syntax which you are going to follow is that link name in the square bracket, and then target URL in the parentheses. So this is the syntax you're going to follow, and this is how we are going to use it. Continue to Google this. I have added a hyperlink, and this is the name of the link, and this is the target link. You can open this by control plus click in the Visual Studio Code, or you can just click in GitHub. I'm not going to open it now, but this is how you can add. So continue to FB can also be an option. www dot. Okay, it is one more important thing. You do not have to write www.fb.com. It is important to write HTTPS. Without it, the link would not work. So the next thing is strong italic and strike through text. This will also be used very much in the README files. So we have two options for both italic and bold text. You can add uh, 2 underscore in bold text or 2 asterisk symbols in bold text, or it can be a simple 1 underscore and 1 asterisk symbol in the italic text. And you can also add a strike through text. For that, the syntax will be 2 tilde symbols and starting and in the end. So for this, we have this. This is just an illustration. We can also combine two of these, just like 3 underscore is, you can also do this, bold and italic, but this is not preferable because you cannot distinguish between the underscore. It looks like 2 underscore or 3 underscore. It is preferred that you use this. This will also serve the same purpose, bold and italic text. So after this, we have Images. So images, it is very important part of the README. As Shumangbe said, you have to add uh, screenshots as well, and some walkthrough to the project. If something is complicated enough that user would not understand, you will like to add an image so that he or she can understand. So if you're writing an image, so it can be a local image as well. In this I have added an image which is I just copied this link from the internet, but you can also add a local image, and the syntax here is an exclamation mark, then the image name in the square brackets, and in parentheses you will write the location of the image. It can be a URL or the location on the image on the system, local system. So I'll show you how to add local image. This is a local image, name of the image, and I have a images folder here which consists of 1.jpg image file. So I'll write this images slash 1.jpg, and yeah, so this is a random image uh, which the Visual Studio Code is showing from one images folder, that is 1.jpg. So the next thing we see is the tables. You do not have to put tables everywhere, but it is preferable if you have some data you need to put in the README file. It will be preferable if you have tables in it. Tables are just a simple way to understand data. So if you are adding tables, you can follow the same syntax. Pipe symbols denote the separation of the column, and you can add just this is the title, the first line. This is the title of the column, name, email, and address. Then we have a line which is partitioning the titles and the content. So if I copy this and paste this in the new line, you can see a new row has been created. So this is how you create the tables in it. uh, in the slide I have just these indented are not compulsory. I just use this for the illustration purposes, so you can see the difference in column completely. So after that we have block quotes and nested quotes. So these can be used when you are writing notes in uh, the readme file. uh, Take an example that you are explaining something and you want to add an extra thing like a note, then you will add these greater than symbol, and then with a space you will write the block quote. So I have the example here. So this will be the code for it. This simple code I copied from the internet, and you can add block quotes like this. And there's also thing called nested block quotes. You might be familiar with nested in for loops and all. So this is also like that. Nested block quotes can be nested in one another. Like this is the first one, this outside, and with two greater than symbol, it is inside the previous block quote. Like this technology is best line. This is displayed here inside the block quote. So the next thing is inline codes and code blocks. So this is very important thing because we are going to use a lot of code in the readme file as well. So when you're writing codes, a simple part of the function, you will use uh, these are not commas, these are the symbol which is given with the tilde symbol, the first key of the numeric line. So you will use this in the front and the end in a line. So this will serve you as a purpose of inline code. Like I have called a function here in the preview. You can see it is differentiated from other text. And for writing code block, you can use um, three of these symbols. I have written Python here. This does not work on Visual Studio Code, but this work on GitHub. If we have written Python, then some coloring will be there, which will help you distinguish between functions, variables, and commands. Uh, but Visual Studio Code not support that. So this code, this is called the code block, starting with three commas and ending with three commas. This can also be done by indenting with one tab. You see, I have not put symbols here, but this is also serving the same purpose with one tab indent. Okay, so moving on to the next part, we have ordered lists. Okay, so order list, I have code here. Order list is list with numbers. Uh, so it can be list inside a list. It can, you can also add one more here with a tab, which means an intent, like second, first. You can write anything. Okay, so this is like an nested order list. You can create as much long as you can. So a second will be displayed here. This is a preview of the order list. So order list just give you one option, that is giving the numbers here. But if you come to the unordered list, which does not show the number, you can use a hyphen symbol, like I have shown here. This is a hyphen symbol. We can also do this by an asterisk symbol or a plus symbol. You see, I have added an asterisk symbol, and this is showing a dot, which was used before as well. So this is the first item, and there's one more thing which we can do, that is a plus symbol. So plus symbol can also do the purpose, like yeah. So these are three symbols which we can use for writing the unordered lists. And you can see the with one intent you can add another unordered list in a previous unordered list. And we can also combine both the list, like this is the first item, then I put a tab, then hyphen, first item. So you can combine both ordered and unordered lists. Um, so that is all, I guess, for the simple Markdown convention. Then next is GitHub flavored Markdown, which Shubhang will explain.
Yeah. So thank you for that informative session. So I think there is something unique about the GitHub, and there are some of the things which are not covered in the conventional Markdown, which are specifically mentioned by GitHub. So those particular syntax are known as GitHub flavored Markdown. So I'll just show you a demo of what are the things that you can do with that. So let me just open up GitHub and share the screen. Just a minute. Right. Right. So let's just go back to Developer Students Club's any repository as such. Let's go with official website. And let's say that I'm a programmer and I want to contribute in this. And let's say I raise up a issue, a new pull request. Okay, let's just stick with issue, and probably I'll just raise up an issue. So I'll just go with bug request report, and this could be properly appreciation. And here are some of the things that I wanted you guys to focus on, is that Markdown, the GitHub flavored Markdown supports, the first thing and foremost, the most interesting thing is the emoji support. You just type in a colon and you probably type up any sort of emoji that you can think about, in my case. And you can see that there is this drop down over here. You again close it with a colon and you press enter. Similarly, I go with a heart, and I can go with this, and yeah, I can like go with a thumbs up and close it. Apart from that, there is this one more interesting thing in Markdown, is that you can literally drag images into here, and it will just upload that image for you. So I think I should do that for a demonstration purpose, and let's just pick hello world random image, and let's say I want to go with this one. So I will just save the image in a random location. Come back here and yeah, so I'll just opening up the file that I downloaded, and I'll show you by dragging it over here. And yeah, so I've picked up this file. I don't think so you guys would be able to see the other screen because I just shared my but now you can see the drag and drop part. And as soon as I drop it over here, you can see that this is now being rendered to a random URL which is generated by GitHub for us, and you could name it like anything that you want. So, and submit this issue. And as soon as I submit this issue, you'll see that all of the things that I typed in has been rendered over here. So this is one of the key features of GitHub flavored Markdown, and there is a very good freely available guide by the GitHub itself. You can definitely search it in this sense only. So combined with what Priyanshu has told us, along with GitHub flavored Markdown, is something which helps us as a programmer to clearly make our project stand out. And the reason why we are focusing on this particular session in this Hacktoberfest is because I'll just show you the official website's README that we guys have maintained. So you can see that as soon as anyone who lands up on this repository, the first thing that probably catches the eye is the readme.md. It is a self-rendered document, as you can see. And now you can see that this particular README has images in it. It has a good, well-defined title. It has all the social media icons linking back to our social media platforms, a hyperlink. And one of the cool things which I'll definitely show you after this is the badges. So as we have stated that these are all the installation and setup steps that you guys need to follow if you want to contribute for front end as well as back end, how to contribute, all the commits, and all the amazing people who have been contributing to this project. So all of this combined together does not, but it clearly creates a good image, and it helps the developers to clearly focus on how to build stuff rather than getting involved and trying to figure out on their own. And the better your README is, the more number of contributors of all levels you are going to attract. So one more thing that I would like to highlight in this, that if I show you this in the editing mode on the GitHub itself, you will see that there are some HTML tags present in it. And this is one of the best, probably the best features that Markdown has for you, is that Markdown on top of it supports all sorts of native HTML code. So like, even if you know HTML, you could definitely incorporate each and everything of it in the Markdown. So you have that align of center, you have that image source, you have ahref for linking everything, you have all the image sources again. And as Priyanshu told us, the links. And yeah, so one more amazing thing that I wanted to show out here was the badges part. So badges is something relatively a newer concept in README these days. And there are a lot of... Sorry?
Zoom in.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, so badges are relatively the newer things that we have incorporated in a lot of repositories around us. And these are sort of attractive, colorful, sort of small badges, which shows up a lot of information in a nutshell. So build is something which I think we can cover up in some other day. This is the Discord link for our server. This is the Python version that this particular project uses. These are the number of issues that are open. This is the code styling that we follow. This is the size of this repository. So you see that a lot of information is being conveyed over here, and yet in a very colorful manner and in a very informative way. So the way that you guys can achieve this is that there is this website known as shields.io. So you just go up there. There are a lot of predefined badges over here, as you can see in the list. And you can even search randomly, like let's go with Discord probably. Yeah, so you have Discord and chat. So as soon as you click on this badge, you'll just have to select any one out of it. Let's just select this one. And you have to just like follow all the instructions, fill everything, all the fields over here. Select this is the preview. I hope you guys are able to see it because, yeah. So this is the preview that is generated automatically. So these are some of the files: plastic, flat, square, for the badge, and there are a lot of formats on the same way, right? Then you can change some of the colors, you can do everything, whatever you want. And all you have to do is pick up this badge over here. And because I haven't filled in it, let me just like quickly take one. Let's take Python version. Let's go with the Developer Student Club Thapar, and let's go with official website. Yeah, so it will show you the version that we are using, that is Python 3.8. And let me remind you, this is all dynamic. We haven't typed any of this. All I did was put in my user and have my repository. And after this, as you can see, copy badge URL, go in from there, copy the markdown, go back to your README, edit it, and just paste it over there. So I'm not going to paste this because, as you can see, it is the same thing. Okay, let me just do one thing. Let me just paste it for you. So this is the GitHub PNG version, that the badge that we inserted, and it is already present there in this particular repository. So again, I want to emphasize on the fact that writing good READMEs is as important as writing a good code and probably maintaining a good repository, because as descriptive as your README is, the more number of people and developers is that your repository is going to attract, and thus you will have a better contribution cycle, and thus, yeah, and so on and so on. So I think this was it for this the GitHub flavored markdown part and some of the features that I wanted to highlight. So is there anything for the presentation part that is left? Priyanshu, can we have it on the screen, please?
I think everything is covered.
Cool. So I think that was the part from us. And I think, yeah, thank you everyone. And if there are any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment sections, and I mean in the chat section, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. So thank you so much.
Greetings everyone, this is Manroop Parmar, and at the back end we have Dibjot Singh with the quiz. This is going to be a simple quiz session based on what all information you grasped over the last 2 hours. The rules for the quiz are simple enough. There will be 20 questions, and for every question you will be getting 30 seconds to answer. So Dibjot, I would request you all to please join the quiz with this pin. I would request you all to join the quiz with this pin. The link for the quiz is there in the comment section. Please go over it. I would request everyone to please join in, as we will be starting shortly with the quiz. The link for the quiz and the pin both are available in the comment section. Please go over it. This will be just a simple quiz based on what all you learned in the past 2 hours. There won't be much of technical stuff, so I request everyone to please join us up. Jai Bhaiya, should we start with the quiz or should we wait for more people to join in?
I think we can wait for last minute and then we could start with the quiz.
Okay. I would request all the participants to join in.
I think we can start now.
Okay, bhai. Divjot? Okay, so there will be 20 questions and you will be getting 30 seconds for every question. I repeat, you will be only getting 30 seconds for every question. So please try to answer a bit fast. Pardon, they will, can you please just repeat it?
So guys, with the quiz, you guys could see the options on the screen. The options would be a shape and the some text. But when you guys are attempting the quiz, you would only see the color and the shape on your screens. So please take that in mind. Yeah, so we have Daga on the top, then we have Batman, and third is me itself. So guys, please try giving the answers as quick as possible and as correct as possible, so you guys reach on the top of the scoreboard. Let's go with the next question.
Take your time with the question. You'll have 20 seconds to answer it, so just don't hurry in that.
Yeah, that's a very important question which you guys could see on the screen, because one of these files is pretty much present in all of the open source repositories you check out there. So yeah, we still have Kush on the top of the scoreboard, and we have Gautam and Jat Saab on 4th and 5th position. Nice.
Take your time with the question. Just understand it properly first.
Yeah, so that was basically a question which was asked on the chat a few minutes before, and I explained that you guys need to fork your repository from the github.com website itself so that you could work for that. There we go. So what's the opposite of git clone?
This was covered in the session. Just try to remember.
The question is, what's the opposite of git clone? Instead of downloading your code from GitHub, uploads your changes and code to GitHub.
Okay, bhaiya.
So, guys, that was all for the quiz. We had 5 amazing questions for all of you guys to answer and master your concepts. So, please revisit the session if you guys were not able to answer any of the questions. And do check out the Git cheat sheets we had on the comment sections, on the live chat to get a deep dive into this GitHub and Git commands that you were seeing during the quiz. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys for joining in with us for the past, I guess, how much time has been done? Past 2 hours and 42 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed, and sorry for the issues in quiz. We did not anticipate the lag. So if you guys are interested, just go back and rewatch the questions just for your understanding. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be ending this live stream now. Uh, Please join us tomorrow at the timings that are mentioned in the schedule. Uh, yeah, Jay, if you want to.
Yeah, so as Kush said, that was the wrap up for the whole day. We had an amazing session which were covering the basics of Git and GitHub. And we recommend all of those watching this session to kindly go through these concepts and master them, as all of the things which we covered today are basics of contributing into open source. So, yeah. Yeah, so we also ask all of you guys to try all of those things which we have taught in today's session practically. That is, do a hands-on session on the things we have taught you. Feel free to contribute to the repositories on Developer Student Club, and feel free to join us on Discord. We are open for any kind of doubts and any kind of issues you guys face on the Discord channel. Obviously one of the core member would be there to help you guys. So yeah, that's all for today's session. Stay tuned for the next 2 days. We are going to have amazing things, varying from a podcast session to advanced GitHub topics. So yeah, bye bye guys.
Yeah, anyone who's interested in GSOC or such competitions, please do attend here tomorrow and day after tomorrow's sessions, and ask your friends as well to attend it. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience. I mean,